Don't drink, don't smoke. What do? You run for politics, I think.
Oh.
All right.
It's my vice.
That's your vice. This is
one of many.
This is WTF 97.9. I got that right? 97.9. I have to check myself. I have got senatorial hopeful Joe Lukashevitz in here. Democratic. I always got to remember that Democratic. So, and we're open. Bring in the Republicans. I'll talk to them too.
Please do. I encourage that.
I do too.
I have so much fun here.
I know. I'm just so glad I saw you.
For not drinking, not smoking. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, go on and run around out there and do politics. That's the best thing. All right, Joe. It was good to see you running down the road this morning there, banging on while Buzz was doing your tires. Come in here. You hollered at me. You want to give the people what's going on right now, Joe. Tell me.
Okay, the big news here is about a week and a half ago I proposed through a media event in Alpena the establishment of a Lake Huron State University, a four-year university to be constructed somewhere in the Alpena community. Yeah. And the point being is, in the northern half of the Lower Peninsula, if you take a line from, say, Saginaw Bay across up to, say, Central Michigan University and then down to Saginaw Valley, there is no four-year institution north of that line, south of the bridge. And a consequence of that is our students, once they get educated in this region, then they seek a higher education.
Right.
They have to go elsewhere,
right,
outside the region, to other parts of the state,
right,
or other states, in order to get a higher education. And once they get that higher education, they don't come back to this region to live. They might come back to visit if family remains here, but they don't come back to live and work. And as a consequence, we've seen a drain in population. Our population continues to go down in this northern part of the state.
Resources.
And, exactly.
Yeah.
And in effect, what we have is a brain drain. We have a lot of this intellectual capacity that leaves the area and doesn't come back. They don't come back to create jobs because the opportunities here are very limited. So with a four-year institution,
yeah,
with a four-year institution, they can stay here. The construction of that institution would create hundreds of top-paying jobs.
Yeah.
And once constructed, we're looking at a student population somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 7,000 students, which would create between 2,500 and 3,500 permanent, good-paying jobs in this region.
Yeah, and you're thinking the Alpena area? Is that what you're?
Well, right now, that makes a
northeast?
lot of Alpena makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and primarily, as an example, Alpena Community College is sitting on a couple of hundred acres of land that they're not quite sure what to do with. I'm not speaking on behalf of ACC at this point in time, but nonetheless, there's some land in public trust there that could be used and actually help offset the cost of a four-year institution.
I like the name.
Lake Huron State
Yeah, if
University.
we could get kids in there that are interested in our freshwater lake, there's a lot to learn here. There's a lot to be protected here.
And how appropriate would that be? Up in Hammond Bay, up in Presque County, we have the Hammond Bay Biological Station up there. It's a function of the U.S. Geological Survey. They have a presence of DNR and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service up there.
And you started out early in the Great Lake protection with the zebra mussels. I mean, you've been on this water
Sea lamprey.
as long as I've been around.
Yeah.
I like that. Greenbush, man, you're local. And today is the last day to register to vote. So everybody get out there. Yeah, everybody get out there and register to vote. And as always, I got to say, on WTF, we have no, we're right down the middle of, we're not extreme right, extreme left. Well, I encourage anyone that wants to come in and talk. Give me your point of view, because I tell you what, I enjoy every time Joe comes in here.
Now,
I mean, I like what you got to say. No, it's not. I know. I'm just saying you're down.
This, in my way of thinking, it's not about being a Republican
No.
or Democrat. It's about dealing with this double-digit unemployment up here that has been generational now, and is dealing with the exodus of our children from this region to seek higher educational opportunities and not have opportunities to use that education back in this region and creating additional jobs. That's what it's about.
It's
about
technical
protecting the
resources
Great
too.
Lakes.
We need the resources up here, like you were talking earlier, earlier interview about increasing our wireless increase the internet up here. I mean,
When
we're
you
on.
remembered.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yes.
telling you, I mean, the water is up now. We had a little rain, so the mill pond is, it's spinning good. So we've got a good connection going right now. But man, when it gets dry up here, and that, it's like a chipmunk in a.
In my house.
The chipmunk slows down, and it's like dial up. But it looks like a lot of good things coming into the area, and I really that's actually the first I've heard about the college, and I really like that idea. I think
It's extremely popular, of course, in the Alpena region, where the message has gotten out better than it has in outlying regions within this district.
Well,
Now, radio stations in Detroit picked it up, Kalamazoo,
Yeah.
other parts of the state, for some reason, there's kind of been a lid on it here in the Northeast
Well, we're
for
getting
one
it out
reason
there
or
now.
another. I'm banging on doors, I'm going around businesses, because the impact of a four-year institution up there, when we start talking 3,500
Right.
jobs
Right.
and expanded opportunities for our children, I mean, that has reached beyond Alpena County. Should it come to pass in Alpena, that's great, but it reaches down here in Elkona, even Oscoda for that matter. Iosco County has a facility, Alpena Community College,
Right.
a satellite facility
Right.
there, as does Gaylor. They have a university center there in Otsego County. All of those present opportunities for this four-year institution to expand higher educational opportunities
all
to these
for it.
outlying regions.
I went to the mighty ACC.
Community college graduate too.
Yeah.
And the only way this is really going to work, I want ACC to be a full partner in this institution. So we're not talking about competing with the
Right.
programs at Alpena Community College.
Oh, and that's going to be your best way in.
Yeah,
know,
so it'll
'cause
be a
they gotta
fully
be on
integrated
board.
relationship between the
And
two.
that would be
And then you look
fantastic.
at the lake resources there with the NOAA facility there and the expansion of the underwater, I've lost.
Well, no, the museum, the underwater museum that they're continually expanding. They're finding things down here outside of Harrisville that is just amazing. I mean, and to get that included into the museum, let's keep that museum going south. Let's just, protect this coastline. This is a very, very important resource we've got to protect. Speaking of that, Joe, what are you planning on that big old pipe that goes under the Mackinac Bridge? Now, what are we going to do about that? Those guys are. You say it's a Canadian company running
My
it.
understanding, Enbridge is a Canadian company that owns the pipeline. I understand the pipeline is like 60 years old.
It is 60 years old, and I was just reading that they just increased the pressure to it. They just increased the output of that pipe that runs right underneath the Mackinac Bridge, and you're talking 60-year-old pipes. So we need a game plan here, folks. I think.
And right now they don't. They're pulling together apparently a few individuals to, again, study it.
Right.
And I understand that even someone like the Coast Guard was not involved in this group. And who best to handle
Really?
a crisis of pollution proportions caused by a leaky pipe? And we've seen Enbridge, what they've done down in
Right.
Kalamazoo.
Yeah, that was
when they,
horrible.
yeah, and they're still suffering down there. They had to really essentially abandon
Have
a
you
lot
been
of
into
it.
that area at all? Did
I
you
was
get to
down
see
there.
any of that?
I smelled it. You could smell
Oh,
it from
my God.
miles away. I'm talking 15, 20 miles away. You can smell it. The closer you got to that Battle Creek region where the pipe burst, it's the entire atmosphere permeated of
Petroleum.
petroleum. Exactly.
Yeah, and I just could not imagine that out front here.
And because that oil was, from my understanding, tar sand oil, it just reacted differently in the environment, and it's still sitting there in globs in parts of the river, which had to be abandoned. Enbridge literally had to buy out a lot of riverfront properties because of that.
And that's what my understanding on the tar sand is. It's going to be, it just, to me as a layman, you put tar sand through a 60-year-old pipe, it's going to be, you're going to find problems. You increase the volume, I think really we need
And
somebody-
pressure,
Yeah.
increasing the pressure scares me.
Yeah, so that's, man. Well, Joey Lukashevitz in here. I'm going to put on a song or two, and we're going to go over some more paperwork here, and we're going to see what's going on. We'll be back with Joe in a minute, all right?